I am 76 years old, and I need to tell you something that nobody in your life will ever say to you. All those people you're trying to impress right now, the ones whose approval you're chasing like oxygen, the people you're sacrificing your dreams, your health, your happiness to please, they won't remember you. They won't come to your hospital bed. They won't call you on your birthday. They won't show up when you need them most. I know this because I spent 60 years of my life being the yes man, the reliable one, the one who always showed up, always helped, always put himself last. I bent myself into shapes I didn't recognize just to hear the words, thank you, or we couldn't do it without you. And you know what I got in return? Silence. An empty room on my 70th birthday. A phone that never rings. And a lifetime of regret that sits on my chest like a stone every single night. Everything society taught you about being liked, being helpful, being the good person, it's a trap. And I walked right into it with my eyes wide open. Let me tell you about the moment that shattered everything I believed. 3 years ago, I had a stroke. Not a massive one. The doctors called it a warning shot. I was in the supermarket, reaching for a can of soup, when suddenly half my face went numb. My left arm stopped responding. The fluorescent lights above me started flickering. Or maybe that was my vision failing. I collapsed right there in aisle 7, between the canned vegetables and the pasta sauces. When I woke up in the hospital, the first thing I noticed was the silence. No flowers, no cards, no worried faces crowded around my bed. Just white walls, the beeping of machines, and my wife, sitting alone in the corner, looking older than I'd ever seen her. I asked her, did anyone call? Did anyone come? She looked at me with these tired eyes, eyes that had seen me give myself away for decades. And she said, I called everyone in your phone book, Harold. 47 people. Your colleagues, your friends, the neighbors you've helped for 30 years. She paused. 3 people answered. 2 said they'd try to visit. Nobody came. 47 people. I had spent my entire life being there for 47 people, late nights helping them move, lending money I never saw again, listening to their problems for hours, showing up to every birthday and funeral and graduation. And when I was lying in a hospital bed, wondering if I was going to die, nobody came. That silence was louder than any rejection I've ever experienced. And in that silence, I finally heard the truth I'd been running from my whole life. I had traded my existence for approval, and the approval was never real. Let me take you back. Let me show you how I became the man who disappeared into everyone else's needs. I grew up in a small house with a father who only smiled when I was useful. He wasn't cruel, not in the way you might imagine, but his love was conditional. If I helped with the yard, I was a good boy. If I got good grades, I was worth talking to. If I complained, if I needed something, if I took up space in any way that wasn't useful to him. I was invisible, so I learned that my value came from what I could do for others. I learned that love was a transaction. I learned that saying no meant being abandoned. And I carried that lesson into every corner of my adult life. The boss who forgot my name. At 28, I got a job at an accounting firm. My boss was a man named Richard Caldwell. Sharp suits, firm handshake, the kind of man everyone wanted to impress. I worshipped him. For 15 years, I was his most loyal employee. I stayed late when others went home. I came in on weekends. I missed my daughter's dance recitals, my son's baseball games, my anniversary dinners, all because Richard needed me. I remember one night in particular. It was Christmas Eve, 1987. My wife had prepared a beautiful dinner. The kids were excited. The tree was lit. And then the phone rang. "Harold, I need those projections by tomorrow morning. The Henderson account can't wait." I looked at my family. I looked at the tree. I looked at my daughter's face, already knowing what I was going to say. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, Mr. Caldwell." My wife didn't yell, she just nodded. That's when I knew she had stopped expecting anything different. I worked until 3 a.m. that Christmas Eve. Richard got his projections. The Henderson account was saved. 15 years I gave that man. 15 years of Christmases, weekends, family dinners, and bedtime stories I never got to tell. And when I finally retired at 63, do you know what Richard Caldwell said at my farewell party? He called me Henry. After 15 years, he didn't even know my name. The friends who only called when they needed something. I had a friend named George. We met in our 30s, and for decades I thought he was my closest companion. George called me whenever something went wrong. When his wife left him, I was there. When he lost his job, I helped him find another. When his car broke down at 2 a.m., I drove 45 minutes to help him. But here's what I didn't notice until much later. George never called just to talk, never asked how I was doing, never showed up unless I had something to offer. When my mother died, the most painful moment of my life, I called George, devastated, needing a friend. He said, "That's rough, buddy. Hey, listen, I'm actually in the middle of something. Can we talk later?" Later never came. I was George's friend. George was never mine. And I had a dozen relationships exactly like that. People who knew they could count on me, while I could never count on them. I was a well they kept returning to, never noticing the well was running dry. The neighbors, the extended family, the acquaintances. I helped my neighbor install a fence one summer. 3 weekends of back-breaking labor under the August sun. He promised to help me with my roof in return. When I asked him 6 months later, he was too busy. For 3 years, he was too busy, until he moved away without even saying goodbye. My cousin borrowed $4,000 for an emergency in 1995. I told my wife we'd get it back soon. It's been 28 years. He stopped returning my calls in 1997. I drove my elderly neighbor to her doctor's appointments for 7 years, every Tuesday, without fail. When she passed away, her children, whom I had never met, didn't even invite me to the funeral. This is what a life of people-pleasing gets you. You become furniture, reliable, useful, and utterly forgettable. The worst part? For a while, I thought it was working. In my 50s, I was the most popular person I knew. My phone was always ringing. Invitations filled my mailbox. People said wonderful things about me at parties. "Harold's the best. He'll do anything for you. You can always count on Harold." I don't know what we'd do without Harold. I thought I was building a network, a community, a legacy, but I wasn't building anything real. I was just useful, and there's a terrible difference between being loved and being used. The calls stopped coming when I could no longer be useful, when I retired, when my health declined, when I had nothing left to offer. Suddenly, Harold wasn't so popular anymore, and I realized lying in that hospital bed, that I had never been popular at all. I had been convenient. Do you want to know what haunts a man at the end of his life? It's not the failures. It's not the mistakes you made. It's the life you didn't live while you were busy living for everyone else. My wife's eyes. My wife Eleanor stayed with me through everything, 60 years of marriage. She watched me give myself away, piece by piece, to people who didn't deserve it. One night, a few months after my stroke, she said something that broke me. I've been married to a ghost, Harold. You were always there for strangers, but I can't remember the last time you were really here with me. She was right. All those evenings I spent helping colleagues, attending pointless social obligations, running errands for people who never thanked me. I could have been sitting on the porch with Eleanor, holding her hand, listening to her. I was so busy being needed by people who didn't matter that I neglected the one person who actually loved me. My son Michael lives 3 states away. He calls me twice a year, Christmas and my birthday. The conversations last about 8 minutes, and I deserve that. Because when he was growing up, I was never fully present. I was thinking about work, worrying about what others thought, distracted by the endless demands of people who had no right to my time. He learned from me that he wasn't the priority, and now he's simply living the truth I taught him. My daughter Sarah is closer, geographically, but we barely talk. There's a wall between us, built from all the recitals I missed, all the conversations I cut short, all the times I chose someone else's problems over her childhood. You can't get those years back. You can't undo the damage. You can only live with the consequences. The math that will terrify you. Let me give you some numbers that should keep you awake tonight. I spent approximately 32,000 hours doing favors for people who forgot me. 32,000 hours. That's 15 years of full-time work given away for free to people who couldn't be bothered to visit me in the hospital. If I had spent even half those hours on my own dreams, I could have written 5 books, traveled to every continent, started a business, learned 3 languages. Instead, I have nothing to show for it except a phone that doesn't ring. And you, right now, you are doing the same thing. You're giving your hours away like they're infinite. You're saying yes to things you hate because you're terrified of disappointing people who wouldn't sacrifice an afternoon for you. Every hour you spend people pleasing is an hour stolen from the life you actually want to live. I need to speak directly to you now. You think your situation is different. You think, but I actually have good friends. But my colleagues appreciate me. But my family needs me. Maybe, or maybe you're exactly where I was, so deep in the illusion that you can't see the chains. Ask yourself these questions and answer honestly. When was the last time someone helped you without being asked? When was the last time someone checked on you just because they cared, not because they needed something? If you stopped being useful tomorrow, who would still be there? If those questions make you uncomfortable, you already know the truth. You are not being loved. You are being used, and you have been too afraid to admit it, because admitting it means everything you've sacrificed was for nothing. I know. I was there. And the denial is more comfortable than the truth. But denial won't hold your hand when you're dying. Here is what I've learned in these last 3 years. 3 years I consider more valuable than the previous 70. I stopped saying yes to everyone. The first time I said no without apologizing, without explaining, without offering an alternative. I felt physically sick. My whole body was conditioned to please. Saying no felt like betrayal. But nothing collapsed. The world kept spinning, and something miraculous happened. The people who disappeared when I stopped being useful, they were never real friends. Losing them cost me nothing. The people who stayed, they're the ones who actually care about me, not what I can do for them. My circle shrank from 47 people to 5. And those 5 people are worth more than 47 ever were. What real connection feels like. I have a friend now, a real one, named Walter. We met after my stroke in a support group. Walter doesn't need anything from me. He calls because he wants to talk. We sit on my porch and watch the birds. We argue about baseball. We complain about our medications. It's simple. It's nothing like the friendships I had before, and it's the only genuine friendship I've ever experienced. I didn't know what real connection felt like until I was 74 years old. 74 years to learn something a child should know. Don't wait that long. The peace of pleasing no one. I do what I want now. I read books I was too busy for. I take naps without guilt. I sit in silence and feel no need to fill it with usefulness. I am no longer performing. I am finally just existing. And for the first time in my life, I am enough without doing anything for anyone. You have a choice to make. You can keep being the reliable one, the one who never says no, the one who sacrifices and bends and breaks themselves for approval that will never come. You can keep trading your life for the illusion of being liked. Or you can wake up. Here's a question that changed everything for me. What do you want written on your tombstone? Because if you keep living like this, here's what yours will say. They were always there for everyone else. Nobody was there for them. Is that the legacy you want? Or would you rather it say, they lived for themselves. They loved deeply. They were true. The choice is yours, but you need to make it soon, because the people you're trying to please, they're not thinking about you at all. They're thinking about themselves, just like you should be thinking about yourself. I don't have many years left, maybe 5, maybe 10 if I'm blessed. Maybe I won't see next Christmas, but however many days I have remaining, I'm going to spend them telling the truth I wish someone had told me at 30. You are not on this earth to be liked. You are here to live. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for validation. Stop sacrificing your one precious life for people who will forget your name. If this message reaches you, if some part of you recognized yourself in my story, then share it. Send it to someone you love who's giving themselves away, and subscribe to this channel, because I have more truths to share and the clock is running out. I spent 60 years pleasing everyone. They all forgot me anyway. Don't make my mistake. The time to live is now, and now is almost over.